because I've done the hard yards. You know what I mean? I'm not here to say like, oh, I've worked so much. Like, yeah, maybe I've worked like 15 years or whatever the case is. But because of the hard decisions that I made early on, I've been able to chill for a little bit. And now I'm back in it. And when it comes to grinding, I'll do it. I'll do whatever it takes. But I know that it's not going to come easy. It's not going to sit on your lap.
Yep.
My mum always said to me very young, if you want something, go and get it, because I'm not going to give it to you.
You're listening to Property Investor Tales, stories from the front yard.
Hello and welcome to Property Investor Tales, Tales from the Front Yard, where we get to speak with people across Australia about their property investing journey. My name is Vicky Hines and I'm one of the coaches at Positive Real Estate, and I help people build their wealth through property. With over 10,000 clients across Australia and New Zealand, there are some incredible stories to tell, which hopefully will make your investing journey that little bit easier and will hopefully inspire you a little along the way. Today, I have the privilege of chatting with Nicole Ardiles. Nicole has been investing in real estate for several years and she joined Positive Real Estate in 2020. I've asked her to come along to the podcast today to have a bit of a chat, share some of her knowledge that she's acquired along the way and some of the learnings that she's experienced, which I hope will help those just starting out as well as some people who are partway through their property investing journey. Enjoy this conversation between myself and Nicole. Hi, Nicole. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Vicky?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for coming along today to Property Investor Tales. I've asked you to come along because obviously we've been working together for a little while now, and I think you've got some interesting stories and some experiences that you've shared with me during some of our meetings together in the past, and I thought other people would really, really love to hear and probably get some really good insights and benefits from your experiences. So thank you for popping along and volunteering to do that.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Very welcome. So I guess just to kick off, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so name's Nicole. We went through that. 32 years old. Started my investment property pretty early at 19, but that's not really what I focus on a day to day. At work, for example, I've done a little bit of everything. But at the moment I sell trucks. So I sell Hino, depending on how you say it, trucks. I've been doing that for about 6 years, but I did just take about a year and a half off where I actually went and lived in Europe for a bit. I went to Spain. So my background is from Chile, from South America. So we speak Spanish. So obviously that made it nice and easy. But yeah, so took about a year and a half off, went and lived over there, which I loved it. And then was fortunate enough to come back to the same company that I was in. When they heard that I was back, they hit me up and said that they wanted me back. So I'm back selling trucks. That's where I started.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how long have you been back?
So I came back in September, but the intention was to go back to Spain. I met somebody up there, which was pretty exciting. And our original plan was for us to, see how things go up there in Spain. But she actually came down for a holiday when I had come back here in January. And when she saw what the opportunities are here in Australia and whatnot, and I was telling her, but obviously it's a lot different when you're born and bred Australian. I think you're obviously a bit biased, but when she saw it for herself, she agreed that I think it's obviously a better decision to come to Australia and maybe give it a crack here. So she arrived on Saturday, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
awesome. So she liked what she saw, and she decided that she would like to come down and give it a bit of a crack down under.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
very exciting.
Gonna work on her English. Got to work on her English a little bit, but that's okay. We're gonna do that together. So
she's gonna be fully immersed into the English language.
Yeah, she's gonna start the yeah. Very surely, I'm sure.
She might not get that. I never did. So you've been investing for quite some time. So I remember when you joined PRE, it was back in 2020, but I think you were investing sometime before that, wasn't you? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I bought my first property at 19. So I'm now 32. So what's that, like 13 years ago?
Hmm.
Um, it was a disaster, but I didn't know it at the time. But yeah, I mean, I for some reason always knew that property was the way to go. I was never really the type of person to believe that whole story that they tell you at school that you need to get good grades to then get a good job and your life will be taken care of. I always saw, my mum working very hard. So my mum came down from Chile, um, before I was born. So she obviously being a migrant, English being her second language, she came here not knowing English and seeing her work very hard. I always saw that a job can only get you so far. And to be honest, if it wasn't for her work, the company wouldn't be what it is today, in my opinion.
Mm.
But I think the story that we always got fed, my mum always believed in was if you take care of your company will take care of you. Um, at the start of this year, she got made redundant after 25 years. So that
Wow.
happens.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, people put all their eggs in the one basket. And I don't know what it was. It wasn't necessarily, something that happened. But from early on, I knew that working a job for the rest of your life and doing that, you know, giving your life and dedication to a job was the way to go. I just never believed in that. So I got into property, made a lot of mistakes, but I learned a lot and I definitely don't regret anything of what I've done because I think I learned them early on where it didn't cost me as much as, if I had maybe, at 19, you can make mistakes. It's a little bit different now at 30 or, for those who are maybe 40 and 50, it's a little bit riskier when you start making mistakes at
Mm.
these ages. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So when you bought your first property, that was as an investment, not to live in?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, as an investment, yep. So I was living at home, so definitely took advantage of, the home cooked meals. I wasn't going to drop that anytime soon. Yeah, so bought an investment. For those that know Melbourne, I bought in Dandenong, so not the best area. But there was a lot of whispers of, Dandenong was going to be the second city and, everything, was going to go up from there. That was in 2011, I think it was,
Right.
2012 maybe.
Yeah.
And it's still, I mean, look, I'm sure we'll probably get into it in a little bit, but I essentially held on to that for 11 years and made $60,000 out of that purchase. So, look, I wouldn't say it was a loss. I just didn't win as big.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So you bought it because it was what you believed you could afford at the time.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And at 19,
Yeah.
I think I paid 350,000. That's a lot of money back then.
Yeah,
I couldn't even
absolutely.
dream of that money back then. So yeah.
And I'm sure, I mean, what did your friends and family think about that purchase back then?
Yeah, look, I think I was really the only one, apart from the family home, nobody in my family had ever invested or gotten into property or looked or even thought about having a house as an investment. I think, having that old school mentality that, the Australian dream is to buy a house. Most people would want to go and obviously live in it, but I just kind of understood leverage. And for me, leveraging somebody else paying, the mortgage for you. And again, I mean, there was no need for me to move out because I was very comfortable at mum. I took advantage of that. And obviously you see the properties and how they go up. And I just figured, hey, if I get into the market, I'm going to win. And I definitely won. I just could have made better decisions now that I know more and I'm more experienced. But again, I wouldn't have learnt those lessons if I didn't make the mistakes at the start. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I wouldn't say there was much negativity or backlash from family. They just kind of didn't really have an opinion because they didn't really know too much.
Mhm.
But everybody, when I got it, everybody, celebrating and everything like that. And,
It's great.
yeah, I would say I had a lot of support in terms of, the pat on the back and whatnot. But obviously, as you would know, property is not just about the purchasing. You then have to maintain it and take care of it and
The
make the
boring
right
part.
decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, the parts that if you don't know what you're doing can sometimes keep you up at night. So,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah, so
absolutely. So, Nicole, it sounds like you have a very supportive family, which is fantastic. And,
yeah,
it's actually fairly rare, I would say, from talking to people. Many people that I talk to choose to not share that kind of information with their family because they have an expectation that perhaps they're not going to be as supportive. I'm probably interested more so in understanding a little bit about what gave you that hunger for wanting something a little bit different to what everybody else is, we call it the default path, following where 99% of people will go. They go to job, they go to school, they'll get a job after, or they might go to uni in between. Then they'll basically buy a property and they'll normally live in it and they'll normally spend the rest of their life paying it down. And that's pretty much it.
yeah.
What prompted you to be thinking a little bit differently out of that scope from a very, very young age? Was there a book that you read or someone in your life that impacted you?
I probably read the book that everybody reads, which is Rich Dad Poor Dad. A
Yeah.
little bit later. It wasn't straight away. I think it was just in my nature and in my blood to be rebellious, to be honest. It was just if everybody and this is kind of what I guess confirmed this rebellion in me is that, when you hear it later on and you go, oh, that makes sense. I saw that or I knew that without anybody saying it to me. So for example, the saying, if everybody's zigging, you zag. If everybody's doing one thing and you don't want to be like everybody else, then don't do it. I'm very strong in the sense that I like to learn lessons, and for me, I don't just learn from the people that I admire and that I want to be like. I look at the people that I don't want to be like, and whatever they're doing, I tend to steer away from that. So
Right.
obviously, yeah, when you're 19, purchasing a property, you have to say no to parties. You have to miss out on a few things. You don't maybe save up to get a car. Little things like that where everybody else is kind of doing the opposite. I was very comfortable doing it my own way. And again, I think it was just the rebellion in me. But I never believed in the whole, what school was telling you, because the teachers that were teaching me were not living the lives that I wanted. So why would I listen to them? You listen to them to a certain degree, and I'm not trying to dish out on school in any way, shape, or form, but these are meant to be role models. These are meant to be people that you follow to a certain degree, and unfortunately, they're the lowest paying. They're overworked. A lot of teachers don't get appreciated as much. So I don't necessarily think that it's the smartest decision to maybe follow someone that you don't want to end up being like. And that for me was really the biggest thing. I think as well, again, seeing mum work so hard and she made enough, but she was a single mother, paying for myself and my sister, and with two young women who want to look good and dress well and whatnot, on a single income. It's not easy at all. So to see, I guess, working hard for the man, it's just never really something that I believed in. It's not. I don't want to say it's not something that I believe in, because I definitely still do it now. I still work a job, right? But you have to do something more because it's not enough, is I guess what I'm saying. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that answers your question,
Well,
but
absolutely it does. You're telling us a little bit about your family, and obviously you've seen, your mum's been very loyal in your eyes to her
yeah,
employer, and it sounds
yeah,
like you feel like that hasn't really paid off, but seems like you had an insight into what could have happened very, very early on, which unfortunately has been what has occurred. And it happens to many people. No job is really secure anymore. It does sound like some of it has been quite you've been born with this ability rather than learned, I would say, from what you
yeah,
said. Would you agree?
yeah. I tend to not. I listen, and but I don't listen 100%. Like I'll take on board as but I like to definitely make my own decisions.
Yeah.
So if everyone's telling me one thing, I'm curious enough to go why, or maybe it's not down that route. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm selling trucks. I'm a young female who's selling trucks. Like that's
You got to be pretty tough.
probably, if that's pretty left field, right? So yeah, I'm definitely, I don't follow the pack, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, it's certainly working for you.
Yeah,
When we met, I believe it was 5 years ago, and it must have been we must have been in lockdown, I would imagine. It was in the early
I think
days.
we were.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
2020, I had a look back, it was 2020, and it was a webinar, which we wasn't very digital up until basically lockdown. That's when our company really did switch
Yeah.
gears and embrace the digital world. So I believe you probably joined us on just as we embraced that kind of digital technology. So since then, you obviously, your history had been up to then that you'd had this one property, I believe. And then tell us a little bit about what's happened since then, since 20.
Yeah. So in 2021, I then purchased two properties that year. I was very fortunate that in the industry that I'm in, selling trucks, it was deemed as, what was it? Like an important role
Oh,
where, like with
essential
COVID,
worker.
essential work. Yeah,
Huh.
because it was part of like transport and
Uh-huh.
obviously a lot of construction was happening. Pretty much that sign that you see at the back of trucks, like Australia, without trucks, Australia doesn't move.
Mm.
That was absolutely confirmed during COVID because
Right.
we killed it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
like in the trucking industry, obviously the government was giving out a lot of business tax write-offs, so people needed to buy equipment. We did very well, and I leveraged off that. I had a good income, and I knew that even though I probably didn't have the best experience with the property that I did have in my portfolio, I knew that I had to do something because um, if it's there and you don't spend it, the money just gets eaten away by inflation anyway. So you might as well put your money in something that's going to do something for you, right? And I really always liked the idea of um, making money while you sleep. That's not the easiest thing to do, but when you think about property, it very much is, it's something that does that where, you spend your time making dollars and then you make those dollars make you more dollars. When I heard that, that just made so much sense to me. So for me, property was always the way to go. I was always too scared to get into shares.
Okay.
But obviously that's another great avenue. But yeah, I essentially in that year bought two properties. Um, One of those properties, so the first one that I bought in about March, um, by the time I was ready to buy the second one in about November, I had to get the one in March valued, and it had already gone up, I don't know, like 150,000 just in that time. Yeah, I mean, again, making the right decision because I did at that point, being part of PRE, I was then listening to advice from people that have got what I want, people that I would like to follow. And yeah, just there was a lot of things that make sense, but obviously it's very easy to maybe turn on the news and listen to what the news says, and that's never the way to go.
No.
So when you've got the right people on your side that are kind of guiding you and telling you things that make sense, yeah. So that first property, well, the second property, ended up really doing well, which allowed me to get the third property in the same year. And I've since let go of property number one that I bought in Dandenong, and again made $60,000, which is crazy that in 11 years one property can make little in comparison to something that can do so well in a matter of months. So
yeah.
yeah.
Pulling the pin and really taking action during that time, 2020, 2021, even somewhat into 22, it took some guts to do it. So I hats
Yeah.
off to you. You did it twice in 1 year. When that whole year of 2021, we were pretty much in Melbourne. We're both in Melbourne, weren't we, at that time?
Yeah.
Were pretty much locked down for most of the year.
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about what actually gave you the confidence. I know you just touched on it and you said that, you were listening to people and you were surrounded by people digitally who were more buoyant than perhaps switching, what you were hearing on the news. But was there something in particular that kept your confidence up to use this great income that you were getting from this job? Because on the back of the lockdowns, etc., many people wouldn't have done that. Many people would have been, still petrified and not taken the action. I know what we did as a company at the time did go against the grain. We invited people like Dr. Andrew Wilson to really talk about what they saw as the way that the economy was heading and what they could see, which was the absolute polar opposite to what was on the news.
Yeah.
And Jason at PRE completely agreed with it. What was your experience? What do you feel really gave you the confidence to buy 2 properties in 1 year?
For me, there was a few things. It was probably a combination of the fact that I understood. So the 3 properties that I've purchased have all been off the plan. So because they're off the plan, I've understood leveraging off the time. Making your commitment today and being given that time to maybe save up to then obviously proceed. But for me, the leveraging off my tax, because I bought brand new, I had very good tax deductions, and I hated making 6 figures and half of that going to tax. So for me, it was always, again, another, one-liner that once I heard it and understood it, it just made so much sense, is it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And I was not keeping much at my job, It's, you get these really good commissions and then half of it's gone in tax. And then it was really cool to, in one tax return, to get 25 grand back like that. You don't expect that, and you don't know that until you understand it. And once you understand it, it just makes so much sense. Like, why is everyone not doing this? Do you know what I mean? But for me, it was probably understanding what it meant. So obviously getting a good amount of tax back and being able to either reinvest it or put it aside or whatever. But also, I guess, like these little nuggets that you don't know if you're not in the industry. Like you guys obviously live and breathe property. My day-to-day is trucks. So if you've got a question about trucks, I'll be able to help you out. But when it comes to, where's Australia, where's it at in the market cycle, what's it going to do? I didn't have the time, as much as I love property, I didn't have the time, all the resources to find that out by myself. So having obviously the team helped me and gave me a lot of confidence, because little things like, so the second property that I bought was in Ballarat. So again, just during like COVID, right? Everybody in CBD Melbourne was going out. Gold mine, absolutely killed it. And then the third property that I ended up buying so the second one in that same year was, Sam Saggers. Obviously, you work with Sam. I'm a huge fan of Sam. He kept talking about the Brisbane Olympics. At Brisbane Olympics, we're going to win the Brisbane Olympics, and it just made so much sense to purchase in Queensland just before the Brisbane Olympics. So the third property ended up being in Brisbane, in southeast Queensland, so in Brisbane, just outside of Brisbane. But again, I was always quite conservative. Like I'm yet to go and buy, the $1 million property. Like I do, as much as I appreciate, you're saying that it was a gutsy move, I've always been quite cautious in what I do. I never bite off more than I can chew, and it is a scary feeling every single time. It's just like I'm 19 and I'm putting down, I think back then was like a $15,000 deposit. Like it was like 5%. It was nothing. And that for me was like, oh my God, $15,000. Even now when I'm looking at purchasing properties as well and looking at it, it still scares me. But you've got to be okay with that, because if you're trying to be comfortable, the saying as well, another one-liner, like, if you're comfortable now, you're not going to be comfortable later. But if you go through a little bit of discomfort now, you're going to be very comfortable in the future. And I've always believed in that. I've always I've never taken the easy route. And I
Mm-hmm.
think during COVID, a lot of people took the easy route where, the government's letting you touch your super, go and grab your super. And, I had people in my circle that were buying cars with their super,
Oh my God.
um, and just putting money that like the super's there for a reason. And as much as I don't really understand super, I just knew a little bit better than to maybe make a decision like that where
Mm-hmm.
you're using money that's been put aside for your future, spending it now on something that tomorrow it has already depreciated.
Yep.
So for me, I think the biggest thing I've always been the type where I will never take the easy way out
Mm-hmm.
ever. And I don't know if it's just I'm a little bit crazy or I like a bit of a challenge, but I think
You want it
maybe
all.
making 100%.
That's
And
good.
you've got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's the way it is. And buying a property, whether it's 350,000 or $1 million or
Mm.
whatever the case may be, like it is going to be uncomfortable. It is scary,
Yep.
but having and knowing, that you've got the right people backing you, it allows you to make decisions. And to be honest, I mean, yeah, I'm 32 years old and I was able to take a year and a half off without work because I've done the hard yards. You know what I
That's
mean? I'm not here to say like, oh, I've worked so much. Like, yeah, maybe I've worked like 15 years or whatever the case is. Um, but because of the hard decisions that I made early on, I've been able to chill for a little bit. And now I'm back in it. And when it comes to grinding, I'll do it. I'll do whatever it takes. But I know that it's not going to come easy. It's not going to sit on your lap.
Yep.
My mum always said to me very young, if you want something, go and get it because I'm not going to give it to you. And
What
and
a
and she and that
great
and
thing to
yeah, I
say.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and growing up and seeing my friends get given, their parents buying their cars or, having a bit given to them. Um, I'm so glad that my mom taught me that
Mhm.
because at the end of
Yeah.
the day, it's made me really appreciate more than anything what when I do get it, but hungry. I'm so hungry. I'm still hungry.
Wow, I would agree with that. You are. Whenever there is an opportunity that you have the slightest sniff of that you might be able to do, you're all over it. What do you think
Yeah,
of this?
and I annoy the shit out of you, so I
Not at all.
apologize.
I love your enthusiasm. And sometimes it's not right for you, and that's fine. We've
Yeah,
explored it and we've picked the eye teeth out of every part of it to see if it is going to work for you or not. And if it's
yeah,
not, fine. We can't say we haven't tried. And we will sit back until the right opportunity comes our way. And as I said, most people would not do that out of our investing sphere. A lot of people would just not even really get that far. It would be put in the too hard basket, perhaps, and it wouldn't even look further. So, yeah, thanks to your mum. I think you're right. She's definitely
oh
given
yeah,
that hunger.
definitely,
Good on
definitely.
mum. So, you obviously took time out to go and chill, as you say, in Spain, and you would have had a chance to have met some, I would imagine, some interesting people on your travels.
Yeah.
What were some of the observations that you made when you were over in Spain, meeting with other people? Did they invest like you? What did their life look like? A typical Aussies? What did you find?
So interesting. So I actually went to Barcelona, and Barcelona is very similar to Melbourne in the sense that it's a hub where a lot of internationals come. There's a lot of people obviously from there as well that are like from Catalan is what they call themselves. But I met a lot of people from many different walks of life. And I guess the biggest thing for me, like, look, I'll be honest, I loved Spain, and if
Mm.
money was not an issue, I would be there right now, and I'd be in the sun, doing this webinar with you. But
What prompted you to come back? Was it money?
well, it was money. It was
Right.
money. I actually got offered a job in Spain because I, again, being in the trucking industry, I a lot of the time have to deal with cranes, and a crane company actually fetched me. I don't know how they got my details, but they were looking for somebody who speaks fluent Spanish and English and who has experience. So they I did an interview and everything. And when they told me the pay package, I was not sure if I misheard, if my calculations were wrong in terms of the euro versus the Aussie dollar, but it's astounding how little they make in a country like Spain. Look, for me, the biggest thing, um, Spain, like people always ask me why Spain? Why did you go to Spain? Obvious reason is I speak Spanish, so it wasn't, that hard. But going back to somewhere, for example, like Chile, like I was born here in Australia, but for me, home is very much Chile as well. It's quite third world, like in the sense that, there's not as much opportunity, but they have so much life. They have so much culture and family and all of that good stuff, which I feel like maybe here in Australia we don't have as much. And when I went and visited Spain, I found that there was a good amount of opportunity and a good amount of culture. And I kind of got a bit of both worlds, a bit of Chile, a bit of Australia. And it was a bit of a challenge again for me to just kind of go, I need something new. I'm going to give it a shot. And I would, if money was an issue, I would absolutely be in Spain right now. But the fact is that they don't earn well there. It's not enough. Having these conversations with people, here we're very fortunate. It doesn't really matter what job you do. Like, I don't want to say that because there are, there's obviously there are some jobs that don't pay as much, but in comparison to other countries around the world, and again, I spoke to people that came from many different walks of life. You can't compare to Australia. We've got it so good here. And over there, like having the chat to people, and people think, oh, you're in Europe, you can go to any country, you can travel the whole time, you're just traveling. It costs money to do that, right? And it's not cheap. It's cheaper than here, but when you're earning a third as what you can earn in Australia, it doesn't make sense. It's just
Wow.
easy a third. So I mean, again, for me to put it into perspective, if I hit all my bonuses, I think I would have made a maximum of about 50,000 Australian dollars.
Wow.
And the cost of living up there is still expensive. If you're renting, food and everything is maybe a little bit cheaper, but it's not that much cheaper. And I think here we have the liberty where we can, we've got a nice car. You can afford to rent. You can afford to go and eat out, every so often. You can still save, and you're probably traveling during the year. Whereas in Spain, you kind of have to pick one. You can't do all of that. So for me, it was like, as I was still gonna, I don't want to say sacrifice, but maybe just sacrifice a little bit to see where things went with my partner, and I was more than happy to do that, knowing that in Spain I wasn't going to be progressing. It would be, I'd go there with my savings, and if I wanted to do extra, I would be eating out of my savings. Whereas here, I mean, I've come back, and in a matter of 3 months of being back at my job, yes, I had set myself up, and I've got 6 years experience at my work, and I've got a whole client base and all of that. But it's pretty cool to be able, in 2 months, be back on my feet, and now already having chats with you about where can I invest next.
That's right.
So I think we're very, very fortunate here. But again, I do think that a huge reason that I've been able to do and make decisions like this is because I've got the backing of property. If I didn't have, because it's scary when you go, you decide to kind of leave everything to go to another country. It would be pretty scary, and I probably wouldn't have made that decision if I didn't have my properties here, because
you felt like you had stability here to return back to. Yeah.
Well, even if everything went to shit in Spain and I ended up blowing all my savings and whatever the case is, I would have come back here, and I'm not starting from zero. I've got property. All it takes is for me to sell a property. And again, with the help of made decisions where these properties they're is it liquid, like they're very liquid, so somebody can straight away would want one. It's not going to take me 6 months to try to sell it the way it did with Dandenong, by the way. But I'll be able to, and I'm back on my feet. Thank God I haven't had to, but we're very fortunate here.
Very much so. Did you meet anyone that invested in property in Spain?
No, actually. No, not one person. I've got now friends, there are a couple who are looking at buying an apartment up in Barcelona. But put it this way, both of them are architects who have got their doctorates,
Really?
and they have to save big time to be able to afford something up there.
Yeah.
So even title, like I've got a uni degree and all that, but I've never utilized it. But these guys have got their doctorates, and even like they would be earning 3 times as much as they had come here with that type of certificate.
Wow.
But no, I haven't met anyone that's actually invested in property up there.
So that was one of the observations that I know that you made mention to me when we first met, when you came back. It was just that, and I know I've had similar as well, being in the UK, that looking at the people, younger people that are maybe not quite as old as me, but nearly as old as me, they would never even dream generally of acquiring an investment asset such as property. It is just simply not on their radar. I've not met anyone. I don't know whether you met anyone, but it simply isn't. The pinnacle of most people, most young person's life is just to be able to get on the property ladder, which is, I shouldn't use the word just, because it is no mean feat anymore. You know, the price of property obviously has escalated really quickly, but that is it. The default path for most people is to just, you've made it if you've got that property, much like your architects, and then you spend the rest of your life paying it down. And one observation I've made, which you might feel the same, is that I don't necessarily believe that most Aussies recognise the fact of what a unique opportunity that we have in Australia to be able to invest. It is not open to most of the world, and I believe that we're the lucky people, the lucky population living in 2025, purely because we're still part of a growing nation, and most nations are not wanting to grow much more as Australia is. And so the growing nation requires people to invest in property. Now, the government will, shake it up a bit, obviously, and make it a little bit harder for investors. But the bottom line is they need us to allow for a population of 40 million, which is their target. Do you feel the same? Do you, having stepped out of Australia and stepping back in, is it something that you perhaps looking around at people that you might know in Australia that maybe they just don't realise quite how lucky they are?
100%, 100%. Look, I think I'm in that age bracket now where my friends are purchasing their homes, are like looking for homes because they're starting a family, or they just understand, like, rent's going up so much, like, why wouldn't you just buy a home? But I do definitely think that opportunity or that gap is closing more and more, because again, 2 years ago before I left, cost of living was not as much as it is now. And I know everybody complains about, cost of living, it's gone up, and it has. But when you compare it to other countries, we are still so far ahead. We're still so fortunate. And really, like, now's the time. Like, if you're not, your job's just not going to cut it. Like, at the end of the day, as blunt as that might sound, it's just not going to cut it. So if you're not doing something, whether it's property, shares, or whatever the case is, but at the same time, because it is a very big and scary investment, why would you try to do it by yourself? Do you know what I mean? Like, I've made that mistake, and like, if you're going to do it, and I know it's, again, scary, do it with somebody that that's going to guide you, but you have to do something. It's just coming back here and seeing the eggs like, eggs are just so expensive, which is so random, but do you know what I mean? Like, things like this, and really your wage isn't going up. Like, I mean, put it this way, I've been in the same job for 6 years and my base hasn't gone up.
There you go. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, hopefully everybody else's base has gone up, but my base hasn't gone up.
Yeah, not necessarily. Yeah, absolutely.
So
we're expected to buy more expensive eggs with that same wage. So we've got to keep up somehow. And what better way than property? So,
definitely.
I mean, some great insights into your journey. And I know that a lot of people, Nicole, would really resonate with this, particularly younger people that may be in a position to be able to do something, but are just that, a little bit fearful of actually taking the plunge and buying a property like you did. Do you have any specific advice for perhaps people that are feeling like they can do something, but they're not quite sure what to do next?
Yeah, I would definitely say do it with help. There's a reason why athletes have got coaches.
Mm.
I play soccer on weekends, and there's a reason why I've got a coach. I know how to kick a ball. I know how to, score a goal and all that stuff, but there's a coach there for a reason. They teach you, they guide you. And as much as I'm very much involved, I'm always listening to the information that you guys put out there. The more I learn, the more I realize there's so much more to learn, and not only a property is not just an A, B, C, D type of thing. Like it's always changing. The government comes out with different rules and regulations. There's different tax benefits. And again, for me, I think you'll do well in property. I don't want to say regardless because you can get, some bad properties out there, but, with a bit of help, you can do well in property. But I think the biggest thing is that why not take advantage and win big? If you're going to win, why not just win big with the same amount of investment? And that was my thing. I don't think that for me, Dandenong was a loss in any way, shape, or form, but I just didn't win as big as what I could have if I had the guidance. So I definitely think you need a hand. You need somebody that's going to help you. I've always lived and breathed PRE since I started with you guys. I don't know if I should be mentioning it, but I am a part of many other different groups, and I've signed up. I've probably spent like 50K on different groups, and everybody's got their own different, niches. Some focus on bank foreclosures, some focus on duplexes, some focus on like renovating, like buying old properties and renovating. Mm-hmm. And for me, PRE definitely made the most sense because of the tax write-off and understanding, new properties and everything like that. But you guys have helped even with properties that weren't necessarily purchased through you guys. It's a whole package deal. And now I'm actually at the point where I'm now having conversations and setting up meetings with financial planners, which I always thought was something for the rich, unless you've got like millions of dollars in your back pocket, you don't need a financial planner. But it's all here. Do you know what I mean? If you need an accountant, it's here. If you need just somebody to look over what you're looking at and just maybe guide you, and especially as of lately, my biggest learnings as being a part of the team. So having the team on my side is understanding that it's not just when you buy, it's understanding your end goal when you buy. If you're looking at buying a property to hang on to it, what does that mean? It might mean that you're purchasing it a little bit differently to if you're trying to hold it for 5-10 years and then flip it. Little things like that, of understanding all of your little tax benefits and all the wins. You can really win in so many ways by understanding the nuggets that you guys have got. And again, you guys live and breathe it. I sell trucks. I don't live and breathe property as much as I love it. If somebody still was to ask me, and I get asked this quite a bit, I'm looking at buying here. What do you think? Where would you buy? Or I've got X amount of money. Where would you buy? I still can't answer that question. And I've been, I'm very much involved with, the podcast and listening to the webinars and everything like that. And I'm still not qualified to give that type of advice because I have no idea.
Strategy? That's the answer. What's your strategy?
Well, there you go. Say, here's Vicky and handle it to you. But for me is if you're going to do it, I definitely think you need to do it. And if you're going to, just do it, set yourself up so that you can make the most out of this decision, because it is a big, scary decision. I say this, and I've been doing it for a bit now. And every time I still have second thoughts and I still have doubts. And then you go to a barbecue and your uncle's telling you, no, why would you buy over there? Or why would you do this? And at the end of the day, again, it comes back to what I said at the start. If they're not living the way you want to live, or if they don't have what you're aspiring for, why would you listen to them? I'm following people that have got what I want, and that's my advice.
Great advice.
I love you guys.
Yeah, that is such fantastic advice. I think I worked that one out quite early on when I was a client, not coaching. It was to not talk to people that knew less than me about real estate. And the more I learned, I realized the further away I got away from what they were believing. So why would I even enter into a conversation about it? And it sounds like you've got the same sort of thought process. Yeah, it kind of, it's pretty basic and pretty simple. But I think if we all stuck to that, then we would really only talk to more advanced people in property, because you want to learn from people. You want to have conversations where you can actually come away and feel like, I didn't know that. I'll go and look further into that. So great, fantastic pieces of advice that you provided with us today. I've got one last question just before I let you go. Thanks so much for coming along. But I would love to know what's next? What's next in your journey?
I've got the itch again. I know it's funny because when I was telling my partner, she's only met me on holiday mode. So when we met, I was I'm on Australian dollars. I had a good savings because I was gonna purchase a property before. It was either another property or going to Spain, and I chose Spain. So I was, it's on me. I'll get the drink. That was me, right? So she doesn't know the head down, bum up Nicole. And now she's she's seen it, in this short time. But I've got the itch. I definitely want to buy another property, and I understand. I'm fortunate enough to be in Melbourne. I love Melbourne, and I know where we're at, and I know where this place is going. So I'm definitely looking to buy something in Melbourne. The beauty of it is again having a clear picture, speaking to the right people that can help guide me into if I keep it as an investment, or if I maybe start an investment and then maybe turn it into a home. I'm yet to buy my first property, so I've still got a few tax benefits that I can maybe take advantage of. But regardless of which way I go, I'm buying a property. Like, I've got my absolute heart set on it.
I believe
I've got some. This is the cheapest one that you can get, so don't be fooled.
Very good.
I'm already on the rice and tuna for as long as that I need to, but I'm definitely going to buy a new property, and I won't stop until I get it. So.
You're amazing. You really are. Thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I know lots of people would have got heaps out of that conversation. So thanks so much, Nicole, and we'll see you next time on Property Investor Tales.
Thanks, Vicky. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks for listening to Property Investor Tales. Remember to subscribe so you get notified every time a new episode drops. As you can guess, I love hearing people's property investor tales. So if you'd like to share yours, then please get in touch with me via email at propertyinvestortales@positivementor.com.au. We would also love your feedback, and I would appreciate a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Remember, you can watch all of these podcasts over on YouTube at Positive Mentor or at positivementor.com.au. Until then, take care, happy investing, and bye for now.